Wisco, happy 710, everybody. For those who don't know, if you're newer to or you're older school, maybe you don't mess around with so much of the new slang. 710 backwards is oil. It's like halfway to 420. It's not really, but it's a little holiday, all right, for us folks out there. So happy 710, everybody that celebrates. We got Jeremiah in the house. What's going on, my man? Hey, guys. All right. I think I've got a new intro for the show. I'm going to wait till we get a couple more people on. Pretty excited about it, but I gotta get feedback from the people. We don't make any changes or any big happenings without checking in with you guys because you guys help make this thing happen. So appreciate everybody stopping by. It's gonna be a great show tonight. We got an article with one of our folks over at the Capital Times. Philip Scott was part of an article, cool one that we'll be going over, like his take. We got Danny in the house. We got Heath. Yo, guys, we got this new intro. I'm super excited. Actually, we're going to run it once. We're going to see how it works right now. After we get the sponsors out of the way, not out of the way because we wouldn't be here without them. Huge shout out to Higher Love. Appreciate everything they do for us and the industry. They take care of us when we head north. They got you covered all across the UP. My favorite spot would be in Menominee or Norway. Kind of depends just where I'm at. But everyone I've stopped at has great staff. Deli-style flour. Products are on point. Love it. If you haven't been there, make sure you use that promo code. Check it out. It's in the link that's posted in the comments as well for you. Check out their menu. When you stop by, let them know where you came from. Also, a huge shout out to Ignite Dispensary. If you're looking for product in Wisconsin, they do have an online store as well. Otherwise, they've got locations in Milwaukee, Spooner, Hayward, Superior, Manitowoc, New Richmond, and they got an awesome 710 event going on today in Manitowoc. Hope that's going well. And definitely make sure you check out their drink selection. I think it's unofficially the largest selection I've seen at any store. All right, guys, check out this new trailer. I didn't want to upload it without making sure it works and all that stuff. How does this look for the intro? I set a little countdown. Maybe we work some numbers in there. Check this out. I need your feedback. Took me a minute, but I think it's pretty dope. Let me know what you think here. Here we go. It seems pretty cool, but also kind of seems like a movie, action movie where you might get messed up in this movie. Is it too intense? Too intense? Is it good? Let me know your thoughts on that. I should be able to tweak it pretty easy. So, but I thought it was pretty clean, pretty crisp. I like the smoke myself. Let me know your thoughts. Looking forward to getting the numbers. I like the music it plays, but the numbers, they're just not doing it for me anymore. Jeremiah gives us the approval. Let's go. Appreciate that, man. Danny with the flame symbol, and he's running for president. Let's go. Danny, the president approves. The president's in the house. You know, we should have it when he comes in the chat. It should just be start playing that. Da, 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 da. You know the song I'm talking about. Heath likes it. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Give you guys a sneak peek since you're in here right away. Appreciate that. Let's see what we got chopping up out there in the world of cannabis news. We got a few things popping off and one article in Wisconsin, so I'll be excited to touch base on that. It's been a minute, so looking forward to that. And a friendly reminder, next Monday, really looking forward to having Rob Perro on from the Indigenous Cannabis Industry Association. Really looking forward to that one. Make sure you tell anybody you know that's interested in trying to help be a big part of the coming together of the people. I think next week's show on Monday is going to be a big one. So looking forward to that as well. All right. We've got, get the screen on here. We've got the GOP Congressional Committee approving a bill to block marijuana rescheduling while rejecting state cannabis protections amendment. Now, the good news is I think this is just they're trying to delay the inevitable. But again, that's just my assumption. I have no idea. I am getting a haircut tomorrow. I promise. Rick did not have an opening today. I'm going to be there tomorrow at noon. Rick, I'm looking forward to it. Rick the barber, that is, folks. Getting a little plug here. He does the work in Green Bay. Just look at today and then look at Friday. It's going to be so much more beautiful. It ain't the same when I try to do it. So shout out to Rick over there down on Velt. All right, just getting back to the news here. We got a key GOP-led House committee has approved a large-scale spending bill that would block the Justice Department from rescheduling. It would also amend a longstanding rider that protects medical cannabis states from federal interference. by adding new language to authorize enhanced penalties for sales near schools and parks. The GOP, for some reason, really just likes to stick their nose into it here. Members, it looks like they're also rejecting an amendment that would have extended those protections to all state and tribal cannabis programs, including those allowing recreational use and sales. So we could have already let the states that were legal, stay the course, no matter what happens. And it sounds like they're even trying to disrupt that. Let's see where they've got it here. So this was a House Appropriations Committee hearing, and that was today. The panel passed the legislation that covered commerce, justice, science, and related agencies with the hostile marijuana provisions attached. Yes, hostile. These are not good. I don't know where these guys are getting their advice or again, what their problem with cannabis is. This is just bad all around. So hopefully, again, it's just a tactic to delay, and this doesn't actually have any legs, but who knows what's going on out there. So essentially, it looks like they blocked the Justice Department from using its fund to reschedule or deschedule marijuana is what this bill would do. So there'd be no funding for this to move forward. And obviously this comes while we're waiting on the rulemaking process from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. So it makes no sense. There's a Democratic-led amendment. The ranking member of the committee, Representative Rosa DeLauro, she's from Connecticut, that would have struck the provision and a number of other unrelated sections from the bill, but it was defeated by a vote of 20 to 30. GOP senators have separately tried to block the administration from rescheduling cannabis as part of a standalone bill last September, but that proposal was not received a hearing or a vote. Same thing we're having in Wisconsin. We can't get Agard's bill moving because Mr. Voss won't let it get to a hearing or a vote. He won't let it go anywhere. Frustrating. Still not sure how this makes sense, but it's also happening at the federal level, which again, unfortunately to me, it just makes it feel even more like we are right in saying this is just a big game and it's not about common sense, people's rights, freedom. It's not about what's healthy. It's just a farce, obviously. So it looks like they've got it out on here. Here's one of the amendments. None of the funds made available under this act to the Department of Justice may be used with respect to any of the states of, and then it lists all the states that have medical. Funds made available under this act to the Department of Justice may be used to enforce violations. Of course, we can get the violations out there, right? They're saying that this amendment would prevent the federal government from imposing its antiquated cannabis regulations on states, and it's time the federal government keep up with the times and stop hindering progress, said the co-chair of the Congressional Cannabis Caucus. Yes, thank you. That's where I'm at. Like they say here, it makes little sense to have the state and local law enforcement pursuing one set of policies and the federal law enforcement pursuing a different set of policies. It's time to end the disconnect by passing an amendment that prioritizes the rights of the states who choose to implement laws that best reflect the needs of their citizens. Yeah. And states should listen to the people of their state. This is just doesn't make sense to me. I would call this like trying to bully, trying to stop the inevitable and trying to prove some kind of crazy ass point that makes no sense to me as to why you'd be trying to do this. So we'll keep an eye on that. But it looks like a potential hurdle. But again, hopefully this is just a Hail Mary that is just to get attention to, hey, we are the party that doesn't think cannabis is safe, blah, blah, blah. I can't make sense of why you'd want to. That's all I can come up with, though, as far as what they might be trying to think they're doing. So we'll keep an eye on that, see how that plays out. Silliness at the federal level. This makes sense to me. There's a new study that says legalizing marijuana leads to substantial decrease in intimate partner violence. Wonder why that might be, because I feel like a lot of people, if you have safe access to cannabis, I think a lot of people, after trying cannabis, finding their dose, finding, their sweet spot, I feel like a lot of people would switch from alcohol who right now use alcohol and say, "Oh, that cannabis, that's not marijuana, reefer madness." Um, I just feel like, if anything, I've seen alcohol seem to get people more rallied up, maybe increasing intimate partner violence, that kind of stuff. But again, I have never seen a fight with people using cannabis. Um, oh, Heather's here. Hey, Heather, you're good. Um, it's crazy. It's crazy. But no, it would make sense to me that legalization would lead to, but I'd like to see that there's a substantial decrease. That's good to see. I assume there would be some decrease, but substantial is awesome to hear. And it looks like what they did was they checked an analysis of violence between intimate partners, concludes legalizing results in the substantial decrease in rates. It impacts the relationship between heavy drinking and intimate partner violence, possibly as a result of people substituting marijuana for alcohol. Exactly. It makes sense. If people get educated, man, cannabis is, in my opinion, way more enjoyable than alcohol, and so many more health benefits. Looks like the Georgetown Master of Public Policy, she's an author student, wrote in the thesis that the findings are surprising, saying the links between recreational cannabis and IPF require careful consideration. As marijuana use is a known risk factor for IPV, and legalization of rec typically increases usage. RML could be expected to increase rates of IPV. I don't think you could expect that if you knew what cannabis does to people, but I get where she was coming from. But she's adding that reduced alcohol use could complicate this relationship if marijuana acts as a substitute to alcohol. As alcohol consumption is a greater risk factor for IPV than marijuana use, any reduction in alcohol consumption would lessen the impact of RML or IPV. Yes, that again makes sense. So that's one of the other reasons we're trying to push for legalization. Cannabis is a chiller, not a angry. It doesn't make people angry. It doesn't make people depressed. I mean, obviously, there could be some people that have that, but that's not what it does when used correctly, at the right dosage, and for people whose bodies accept cannabis, which is, I would say, the large majority of people. But we do all know a few people who can't use cannabis, or they don't have the tolerance for it, that kind of thing. So again, cannabis is not a cure-all, be-all, or helper for all people, but most people definitely could see this being the case. They've just notably, one finding of the study was that in states without legal marijuana, IPV rates appeared to fall as the proportion of heavy drinkers in the state rose. This means states without legal rec would actually have lower rates of IPV as heavy drinking increases. Makes sense. Wisconsin, let's fix our IPV percentage. Let's get this legalized. Let's let the people chill. Let's let the people relax, be responsible. Obviously, medicinal is first, the most important part of it. But I think a lot of people would find a sort of relief from this plant that wouldn't even necessarily consider it to be a medication. But as far as calming with anxiety, stress, that kind of stuff, it is a beautiful plant. Unlock its potential. So yeah, this was cool to see. There's a lot of other little details, but I think we kind of get the gist of it. So again, another study out there that points in the right direction. And I think we would all expect that as well, us consumers and advocates. This I want to check out what they got going on over in Maine. Looks like they are looking to adopt medical marijuana lab testing requirements. Again, we've touched on lab requirements a couple times, and in my opinion, that's the biggest, I don't know what word to use, biggest concern I have with the hemp industry in Wisconsin is, how is this stuff made? It should be tested. Where does it, what's in it? So I wanted to see what some legal states, like what they're looking at over here in Maine. I guess let's see what their concerns are. Looks like, excuse me. Looks like this lady that they interviewed started as a hobbyist making medical marijuana edibles on a small scale. But in 2015, she expanded her business, Portland-based Pot and Pan Manufacturing. That kudos. I love it. Pot and plant manufacturing, and begun to standardize her products. Eventually, you've got to kind of grow up and decide if you want to grow the business and add those additional steps and processes that and best practice that comes with growth. Yes. Despite no requirement in Maine to test medical cannabis for content or potency. What? They don't have any. That's crazy. There's no requirement in Maine to test medical cannabis for content or potency. So that's like what Wisconsin is right now for hemp products. This lady has tested all of her batches since 2021. It looks like the medical cannabis in Maine is governed by separate regulations from the adult or rec use program. While the adult use program requires testing for contaminants and potency and includes potency limits, the medical use program requires neither. This is backwards to me. Well, not backwards. It just doesn't make any sense. Public health advocates and state officials want to see testing requirements aligned across both programs, but efforts to mandate testing have been met with strong pushback from the industry. Interesting. Last fall, the state's Office of Cannabis Policy released a report pushing for required testing in the medical cannabis program, but lawmakers instead pursued broad legislation intended to reduce stigma around the cannabis industry that largely loosened restrictions in both the adult use and medical programs. The resulting legislation, which takes effect this month, aims to make regulations around cannabis closer to those around alcohol by eliminating ID checks at the door, allowing minors to go into stores with a parent or guardian and allowing samples. Wilson says it's worth noting the additional cost to ensure the safety and quality of her product, as well as to check her process and ensure consistency. So I was trying. This is more so about her and why she's testing. She's had a couple tests that go out for products that have tested 5 times what she thought she made them for, etc., which again would be a concern that's out there. Lawmakers have to see the way forward for cannabis in Maine is to make sure that folks can have confidence in their products that they're using, that the products are deemed safe, and to strengthen the oversight of the medical program and make sure that we have common sense protections like testing and potency limits. Yeah, that I agree with her. This is crazy to me, though. There's nothing for medical. The state requires that recreational marijuana products be tested in their final form before they are sold to check for mold, toxins, and other harmful chemicals. But again, nothing is set up for medical testing. So over in Maine, the potency limit for edible cannabis is 10 milligrams per serving. And it looks like they approved rec back in 2016. And it looks like they established the regulations and protections, which were adopted in 2019. So they've been at this a while. It's not like they're new to it and they just forgot about it as they're rolling out legalization or anything. This is pretty interesting. I would be interested to see what some of these the medical dispensaries, if it's just her out here like, hey, we should be testing our products for the consumers. I would think everyone would want to be on board with that. She said this. So it looks like last fall, the Office of Cannabis Policy in Maine took 120 samples from medical cannabis sellers across the state and found that 42% had at least one contaminant that would have prohibited them from being sold on the recreational market, including pesticides, heavy metals, yeast, and mold. That right there. So you got 42% that didn't test. How is there not something in place to test medical products in Maine? This is baffling. Green Swan's late to the party. No problem, brother. Thanks for stopping on, man. Check this. They got in Maine, recreational use cannabis products are tested for potency and safety, checking for toxins and stuff. But medical, there's no testing for medical. This is, and last fall they saw that they did samples and 42% came back contaminated. How do you not set something up to protect the consumers? Again, that's Wisconsin. As much as I appreciate what a lot of folks are doing out here in Wisconsin, I don't know that there's much quality control when it comes to post-harvest, making sure that things are taken care of. When you talk about large-scale operations and trying to keep up with the demand, who's checking for safety for the consumer? Just like Wisconsin right now, Maine Medical has none. That is mind-boggling. In response to, one of their concerns about the testing is the cost. They looked at, where were they going here? Their concern is they've been able to lower the price from $15 a gram to $7 from 2020 to 2024. And they're quoted here saying, if reducing uncontaminated cannabis that is demonstrated to be uncontaminated is too expensive, you probably shouldn't be producing medicine for patients. Bingo. Somebody's getting paid or something, man. I think out there, this doesn't make sense to me at all. I guess we'll keep an eye on that. I wonder how many other states are like that. This is baffling to me. Maine medical cannabis has been out for a few years, and they don't do any testing on their products through the state, or it's not required. No potency, no safety measure as far as contaminants testing. That's weird. I guess we'll keep an eye on that one. Moving along to our last article. Shout out to the Capital Times down in Madison. Right, Heather? That's what I'm saying. That doesn't make any sense. The Capital Times down in Madison came out with a piece today. Wisconsin's cannabis industry leaves out with new legal products. This is pretty cool. We got a couple shout outs to some folks that we know in this article who were giving comments and that kind of thing. So let's check out what we got going on here. Basically, what we got is, golly, I don't know what's going on this evening. There's a couple, and when they moved to, she was legally disabled. The name is Hitchings. It was a couple that moved here. She was legally disabled as a result of her migraines. She was able to get through the most painful times with the help of legal marijuana products. She was in California. They were very easy to find. When her and her husband decided to move in 2021, they had a huge spreadsheet of potential destinations. Madison won. But there was an asterisk, a lack of legal weed options. When the couple arrived in Wisconsin later that year, Hitchens was surprised to find shops offering legal cannabis products. Some products contain psychoactive cannabinoids, THC, the scientific term for the chemicals that get a person high. Others include CBD. How can a person in Wisconsin, a state where weed is outlawed, walk into a legal dispensary and buy an array of cannabis to smoke, eat, and massage on their skin? Entrepreneurs seizing on imprecise wording in hemp laws have squeezed new products, some mind-bending and some not, out of the complex cannabis flora, which compromises more than 400 chemicals. What products are actually available here and now? They compare to those purchased over the border in Michigan or Illinois, with lots of ins and outs. Yes, it is a very interesting deal. It starts with the cannabis itself. They go in here to break down the difference between marijuana and hemp. Essentially what they're saying here, currently Delta-9 THC is a Schedule I drug, as we all know, which puts you in the same category as heroin and oxycodone. The U.S. is working to reschedule, but Wisconsin hasn't legalized Delta-9 beyond minimal amounts allowed in federal law. Yet a customer can go to Madison's hemp specialty stores or to a grocery store, gas station, or other shop to readily purchase edible or smokable cannabis products. These Wisconsin dispensaries should not be confused with those that sell legal Delta-9 THC products in other states. This is possible because of the Farm Bill that was written in 2018 and that they're trying to do this, but they can't figure out the new Farm Bill yet. So basically, they opened the door for what is out there now in Wisconsin. Looks like here we've got Philip Scott, the owner of Crone Apothecary, a hemp dispensary on Madison's north side. 10 years ago, he injured his back while driving a UPS truck, which is around the same time he heard about potential legalization of hemp. He met some growers operating under one of the first research licenses in Colorado and decided to spend his time off there to get more information from those at the forefront of the business. He's quoted as saying, "I wanted to learn and become part of this community. They opened the door and started teaching me and showing me a lot of things, including how to grow, harvest, and process hemp into cannabis products." Talks about how in 2017 he heard the rumors about the new Farm Bill and how that could open the door for that kind of product here in Wisconsin. He said here, my theory was let's develop the products pushing the market. And if the state wants to try to come after me, we will sue them in the Wisconsin Supreme Court because we're abiding by federal law. The market sense has grown nationally. The sales of hemp-derived products have gone from just over $200 million in 2020 to $2.7 billion in 2023. That's a 13-fold increase. Jeez, that's a lot. It looks like statewide cannabis farmers have planted in 2022. There was 870 acres of hemp. In 2018, Scott counted 7 stores in Madison dedicated to selling hemp. Now he cites approximately 50 in Dane County. Then they go in here talking more about CBD and how that's been able to help many different folks across the state. They break down full spectrum and broad spectrum. Shout out to them for doing that. That can be confusing for some folks. What do they got here? Digging into Delta. So now they're going to let's see what they got about THCA here. When most people think of pot, it's probably the sticky, stinky, dense cannabis flower. It's not stinky. It's delicious smelling. Dense cannabis flower that gets rolled into a joint or packed into a bowl for smoking. To produce a high from a legal flower in Wisconsin, producers have turned to THCA. The A stands for acid, and it's similar to Delta 9. The flowers look, feel, and smell just like the illegal in Wisconsin flower. Flowers rich in THCA alone can't get a person high, but when they're lit on fire, the THCA transforms into Delta 9. They're talking to a professor here at UW-Madison, and she says a cannabis plant in the field is making CBDA and THCA. Only through a chemical process that normally happens when you heat it do you convert THCA into Delta 9. That means that by the time the smoke hits your lungs, the THCA in the plant has been converted into the THC that very much produces a high. THCA is supposed to be counted in the calculation of marijuana versus hemp with its 0.3 threshold, but it's in a legal gray area. Smells like heaven, says Heather. Yes, it does. At Crone Apothecary, Scott grows his own THCA-rich flower under the brand Badger Hemp Corridor. The certificates of analysis he is required to produce for federal agencies show THCA quantities, but those agencies aren't currently accounting for it, according to Scott. What they are doing, he said, is telling growers to cut it out for the next harvest as early as this September when the Farm Bill expires. The DEA's Chief of Drug and Chemical Evaluation recently wrote that letter that the testing of THCA should be taken into account when marijuana and hemp are differentiated, but the substance's legal days might be numbered. Scott says the DEA is suggesting businesses stop selling THCA, but hasn't gone so far as to crack down. He continues to sell it at his store and at farmers markets in the Madison area. Then they talk about Delta 8. They break that down a little more. But again, as they quote right here, one concern about Delta 8 is in the processing. Since there's currently no known varieties of the hemp plant that have enough Delta 8 THC to get a person high, it's made synthetically from other parts of the plant. He said if Delta 8, this is a gentleman from Bank of America, he said if Delta 8 THC were naturally extracted, it'd be one of the most expensive cannabinoids in the market. I agree with that. But the process of synthesis adds solvents such as heptane and a substance that's in the gasoline available at the pump. Because there's no regulatory process in the place to ensure the end product is safe to ingest, Herman is concerned about a customer putting something into their body that might not be safe. I only want a naturally sourced Delta 9 product. I don't want something that was converted in a lab with a bunch of chemicals. That gentleman was quoted as saying. Then it goes in here to quote Senator Agard, who was quoted on an opinion piece for the Capital Times, saying, rather than a ban, we ought to fully legalize cannabis for responsible adult use and lay out a regulatory framework for producers and businesses who make and sell cannabis products. Amen. The hemp store owners in Madison tend to agree. Scott said he knows government doesn't fix all your problems, but we need more regulation on how to operate, who we can sell this product to. We can stay a thriving business and keep paying taxes to the community. That would be my ultimate goal, making sure we keep every business in this space accountable to make sure we're all providing a quality product. That's the toughest part. Kudos, Philip Scott, 100%. Hit it on the head. Then it looks like they've got a couple other folks on here. Badger G, they're talking about the hemp strain that was developed at UW-Madison. This lady sums it up, and she quotes, "Now everything is very, very complicated." Yeah, it is. I have to have a research license. I have to record all of my sites. I have to have a background check to grow cannabis for the university. There's just tons of paperwork, and you always feel like you're kind of doing something illegal, even though you're doing everything you can to be legal. This is a plant scientist who used to be a carrot grower and came over to the hemp industry. Yeah, that's gonna be a little crazy making that switch. The optimal outcome, she stated, is that consumers have the ability to make well-informed choices on the marketplace, and that those choices are accompanied by a system of regulation that provides a responsible assurance of safety. Yes, exactly. Wisconsin legislators have got their work cut out for them. They need to grapple with the complexities of federal reclassification of cannabis. They need to reckon with an appropriate medical cannabis program might look like in the state. Again, an appropriate medical cannabis program, not that one that Voss tried to come out with, the 4 state-run dispensaries. Ideal outcome, this guy says, would be greater clarity about the legality of hemp-derived products at both the federal and state levels. Exactly. It's clear we are all operating within a gray zone of legality when it comes to hemp products, and that the market has moved faster than the political and regulatory systems. That would be an understatement. The hemp industry is a nearly $30 billion industry in the U.S., and it isn't going away anytime soon. Yeah. Philip said here, everybody's body is different. He encourages people to try CBD and THCA products when they're done with work. Don't put yourself in a bad situation when you're first trying a new product. Try it during the evening, during the afternoon when you don't have to do anything. That way, if it puts you to sleep, you're not driving. Yes, smart man. He encourages anyone who's concerned about his products to talk to their doctor. In the meantime, Hitchings, the lady who moved here with her husband with the migraines, is actively looking to trace the origins of the products she uses. In any other cannabis community, that's the knowledge you have. Who grew it? You know how good it is. But she's keeping her options open. She wants easy access to what she considers a life-saving drug. She states, "My migraines and PTSD nightmares are unlivable otherwise. I would just like it to become less available to me. I would just move if it became less available to me here." So she couldn't get what she can in Madison, she would move. Yes, we would just have to move to another state. Well, Philip Scott, very nice work there. I smoked to stop and thinking about them. Yeah, the government is a pain in the ass. I hear you there. But very nice article written by the Capital Times. That kind of sums up exactly where I was at. Again, for some of those who are new here, I was in the industry of the hemp for 2 years, overseeing 5 stores. And there was just so many unknowns that, a lot of questions, that kind of stuff. And that's what basically this article is kind of everything I had put together, and where I was like, I feel like we need to start coming together as the people to just figure out this legalization thing, or figure out some kind of, highlighting the folks that are doing it right. There's just no regulation, which it's really weird to ask for the government to help. Ideally, it would be regulation by the people. But something's got to give here, and hopefully, we can get more folks who open-minded and understand what people are looking for, which is just the safety of safe cannabis access, and using it responsibly and working together. So we'll see. Hopefully, that article gets read by a couple people in the political world, that maybe they turn a leaf or something and start figuring out what the hell's going on with the cannabis industry here in Wisconsin. We'll have to see how that shakes out. Well, I've got a couple of you here before we say, actually, our ending segment, just don't leave just yet, because I'm going to play the new intro as our outro. Let me know what you guys think of this. We're going to play the video real quick. Appreciate everyone who stopped out this evening. Here's a quick look, another look at our new intro for the show. Oh, see, now that time it hit me good. It didn't feel too much. Did it scare anybody off? It's got that little bit of like a wham bam. I don't know, kind of like a boom. This is getting serious, and we're not that serious here on the podcast. I mean, we just like to keep it real, so we don't want to. I don't know. It's not too actiony. If you got any ideas, let me know. It's been a pain in the ass trying to figure out this video editing thing, and I found a nice program on a website, so that makes things pretty slick. Well, we got a couple more likes. Awesome, man. And Heather, thank you. Cool. Then we're gonna rock with it. We'll see how it does. But appreciate everybody stopping out this evening. We'll touch base again on this Friday. And again, Monday's podcast, really excited about that one. We've got Rob Perro hopping on from the Indigenous Cannabis Industry Association. And I'm really hoping that's gonna help us get to the next step. He's a very well connected gentleman, very well, just a smart individual. So looking forward to having him on Monday. We'll catch you guys Friday. Stay safe, stay elevated. Till next time. Happy 710. Bobby Beans, we're out of here. Heather's rolling one for y'all. Pass out.